Hello, my name is Jaylin Jones, digital producer here at WRAL. If you're watching this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It's totally free, doesn't sign you up for anything, but what it does is make sure that the latest from WRAL is in your feeds, and we want that to happen. Today, we're talking about prediction markets. These are actually fundamentally different than sports betting markets, and today I sit down with Brian Murphy, our investigative sports journalist. He is one of the most well-sourced men in the Triangle. He is super knowledgeable, and I really appreciate him taking some time out, especially after he helped make their latest documentary here at WRAL called The Gamble. It's on sports betting, and I will link that video on this podcast as well for you guys to go ahead and check that out after you listen to this podcast as well. And again, we're talking about prediction markets, and we talk about what they are, how they're fundamentally different than sports betting markets, and also a little bit of a warning because there are things happening behind the scenes that you may not know about. Here's that conversation, and take a listen. Murph, thank you so much for taking some time out with just to spend some time here on the Daily Download. We're recording some content. We're talking about a story that we did a documentary on recently as well, talking about sports gambling, but we're kind of exploding it up a little bit and talking about these prediction markets. What's going on with that? I often like to call you the most well-sourced man throughout the Triangle, man. You've been really busy. So again, thank you so much for taking some time out. But let's talk about these prediction markets. What's going on there?
Yeah. So, I mean, our documentary was mostly about sports gambling, but the way that sports gambling has sort of permeated everything is in part because of all these other markets that have developed, including these prediction markets. You've probably heard of Polymarket or Kalshi, and these allow you the opportunity not just to bet on sports, but to bet on all kinds of stuff. You know, you can bet on who's going to win political races. You can bet on the stock market. You can bet on, wars, assassinations. I mean, it really has exploded into a free-for-all out there, and it almost makes sports gambling look like quaint, look like this small market over here on the side when you can bet on, the Iran war or all kinds of other things that are happening.
So definitely, I downloaded Kalshi this morning just to look. I'm not betting on anything. Let's ask a couple questions. Where will Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding be? Rhode Island or New York?
Well, see, these things I think are rife for insider trading, right? There's someone who actually knows that information.
Yes.
And then can use this market to make a lot of money. And we've seen it with the strikes in Venezuela, the strikes in Iran, the price of oil. There are people who know what's going to happen before it happens. Mm-hmm. They're decision makers and they have to tell other people. And so what we've seen is people like investing heavily in these markets and winning hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars based on really what seems to be insider trading.
So the difference between kind of sports gambling in these open markets is what they claim is that there's no house and we're betting against each other. Can you define what the house is real quick so people understand what makes a difference than, let's say, FanDuel?
Sure. And there are probably better explanations out there. But, when you place a bet on North Carolina to beat North Carolina State, mm-hmm. you're betting against the line that's been established by FanDuel or DraftKings or name your partner. Mm-hmm. And they're taking the risk, right? They're taking your bet, whether it's $10 or $100 or $100,000. They're taking the risk of that if you win, I'm going to have FanDuel, DraftKings, I'm going to have to pay you out with our money. And that's why they try to get relatively even bets on both teams. They can use the money that you bet on NC State to pay me the money I bet on North Carolina. Doesn't always work out that way, and you see some of these big bets, right? So sometimes the sportsbooks lose, but that's how it works. They're the house. They're holding all the bets that are coming in on both sides, trying to make that even, and then paying the winner. The way I understand that these prediction markets work is sort of like the stock market, right? You're betting, I'm putting money into Apple, and if Apple goes up, I make money. And if Apple goes down, I lose money. And so the way these prediction markets are sort of set up is like you're buying, yes, there will be, well, let's use a different example than war. Yes, Roy Cooper will win mm-hmm. at 58 cents, mm-hmm. right? So I'm betting $1 to and he's 58-cent probability of winning. Mm-hmm. And if that goes up to 75%, I can sell. Or if he wins, then I get cashed out on that. Mm-hmm. And if he loses, I don't get cashed out on that. But I'm betting against you. You say Michael Watley's going to win. Mm-hmm. And so his number goes up. Like it's constantly adjusting in real time.
I get it.
So, I mean, we'll go to politics for 1 second. Like I guess it was out there that it was 99-1 that President Trump would use the word Allah on Easter Sunday.
Yes.
And of course, he sends out a tweet that uses the word Allah on Easter Sunday. Well, somebody, if they knew that was happening, would have been able to get incredible odds on that and win all the money of all the people who said no, that he's not going to do that. So, the prediction markets are regulated under something else. They're regulated under a federal law, whereas the sports gambling sites had to go state by state to try to get legalized. So the prediction markets are regulated under like federal commodities and trading laws, and that makes them different in many ways.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for breaking that down for us. And again, I can definitely see the ethics issues with these things, like especially if you're in the know in DC and politics. Like, here's a question on Kalshi as well: will the U.S. reopen its embassy in Iran? Who knows?
Right. But someone does. I think that's the difference with sports, right? I don't know who's going to win the game, and the players really don't know who's going to win the game. And especially when you add in a spread, right? I don't know if Alabama's going to win by 7 or 10 or what the case may be. But there is someone out there who has to plan for the U.S. to reopen its embassy in Iran. And so that information, before it gets known to the public, will be known to a handful of people, and then they would have the opportunity, because these markets now exist, to wager money on that. And so, we've seen Congress now, at least one Democratic senator has proposed a law to kind of cut down on some of the things that these markets can offer to try to stop kind of that insider trading. But I mean, not to get too philosophical, but it seems like, and we've seen it with trading by Congress people, right?
And please get philosophical.
Yeah, well, we've seen it with trading by Congress people, where they get information, and then before the general public gets it, then they make a stock trade, and their stock portfolio goes up way higher than the average person's 401k does. They're getting a higher rate of return. Like, there does seem to be an ethos of like, if I've got information, I can then profit off that information in a way that it just didn't feel like that was sort of the ethos before, that there is this cycle of sort of insider trading or my ability to get rich quick off things that didn't even exist, years ago.
Absolutely.
And so I think we'll see more regulation around this, because I think people are starting to recognize, like, wait a second, people are dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars just hours before we capture Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. Like, that seems a little odd that someone's willing to put $400,000, $500,000 on that, and then it happens 24 hours later, 48 hours later. Like, it does seem to be market manipulation.
Let's switch gears a little bit as well, because you have a wonderful brand called Murph's Turf. Murph's Turf is where you kind of do in-depth analysis on whatever's trending, topics, sports-wise, and things like that as well. Let's say this is a Murph's Turf. What is your warning to the public about these prediction markets as well? Let's say you're having a fireside chat with the public. What is your warning about this?
Yeah, like I try not to tell people what to do with their money, right? You've worked hard for your money. You can do what you want with it. But certainly I would not bet on these things, in large part because I just, maybe a political thing, you don't know who's going to win, but there are polls that are public and all that. But these one-off events, such as, is someone going to do something? Where is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting married?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, at least when I come into it, I'm at an information deficit against people who legitimately know where they're going to get married. And if somebody in the Swift family or the Kelce family wanted to make a lot of money, they could go on this prediction market and make a lot of money. So, like, I just don't like to get into things where I'm at an information deficit, where I'm betting against people with an information deficit, right? This is the whole point of playing poker, right? You get cards, that person knows what they have, they don't know what you have, you know what you have, but you don't know what they have, and so you're trying to game out, well, what do they have? You're trying to glean as much information as you can. Well, in these markets, there's no one, I'm never going to know more than someone who's involved in the planning of that wedding, where the wedding is going to take place. So I just, that's my one concern about these markets, is that they seem unfair for the average bettor. If you're betting heads or tails at the Super Bowl, if you're betting on the color of Gatorade, so be it. It's kind of a fun thing. These things seem just more serious in many ways, and they seem easier to manipulate.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Also, really great work on that documentary. You can find The Gamble Sports Betting on our YouTube page, also wherever you get WRAL, WRAL.com as well. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah, at Murph's Turf. That's MURPHSTURPH, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We got it all. We're multi-platform around here at WRAL.
Absolutely, yes we are. And thank you again so much for spending some time. You're a really busy man. UNC, if people don't know, UNC hired a new basketball coach. You've been leading the charge for us with that as well. So thank you again for all that you do.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Jaylin.